turn on the recording. Bob has just joined. Bob, can you see the site? I show you've just come in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get online. Okay, got it.
Okay. You see? Are you picking up video?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. Thanks. Hi, Mark. Correct. It's just started. It's the same dial-in as for the Tuesday morning. Yes. You bet. Okay. Bye. Mark Goldstein, he's joining us. And we're a few minutes after 10:30. Want to give a couple more minutes or start here? Go. Yeah, one thing we don't really have an RSVP process for these things. Right, so we're not quite sure how many people are going to show up. Must be Mark. One more. Is that Mark? Is that you?
Yes, Mark Goldstein. Good morning.
Would you join, please?
Matt Dostal.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Good morning. Who joined?
Emerson Yearwood.
Morning, Emerson. Mike, are you attending Pursuit? Yeah, that's right. So, 7 committee members. What's that? Very good. I think, and did we have one more join?
Yeah, Ron Schott.
Hi, Ron. It's about 4 or 5 minutes after 10:30, so I think it's probably time to go ahead and start. We were letting folks kind of come in this morning. We have a short agenda this morning, short and to the point, was hopefully how it was going to be. There are 3 items on it, and the 4th item is an open discussion. The first item are the 2 highways for 1 bill. I believe that is.
But I believe, even though that is a good thing in some ways, it's very problematic.
I'm not suggesting
Okay.
it be unbundled use. That's a complete situation with regulated environments. But all I'm saying is that we have had a concept. It's not I think the concept is here, but it's not explicit. It is implied.
And so we want to wordsmith that to make definite the fact that all providers have an equal access to
right to access.
Not equal right, no, because they have to be qualified. There's all kinds of things that you have
opportunity?
Opportunity, yeah. So this is the right of way that's being provided has a concept associated with it. And that concept is that it is a shared right-of-way throughout the state. That there's no single provider that will ever have exclusive use of that right-of-way.
Yeah, in other words, no single provider can lock up
the entire
access to this capacity.
Yeah.
Mike, Ron Schott.
And that's the concept.
Yes,
Why don't
Ron,
you take that?
Ron, you have the talking stick. Go ahead.
Okay, well, why don't you take that and send it to every provider on the email list and ask them for a specific response and explain maybe what we're trying to accomplish there and get their feedback, because I think they're the most critical in that they see that that's, a level playing field.
Yeah, they're gonna certainly, and I think they all understand that what we're intending, and so I agree with you, it'd be helpful, to get specific language suggestions, back.
I have a technical question. This is out of ignorance. In the first part of that sentence, we talk about at least one microduct, and then we talk about securable ingress and egress. Can we actually build securable access at the microduct level in the vaults?
Yes, that is technically doable.
I know you could do it at the conduit level. I didn't know you could do it at the interduct or
So
microduct.
I'm presuming vaults can be compartmentalized, and
Yes.
you can lock the access to the compartment within a vault.
Carrier hotels have really championed that,
Like I said, that was a question out of ignorance. So if that's doable,
That's where I've seen that done too, but that's typically within buildings, not in a field vault.
those are
That's doable?
Yeah, usually interduct will run out of a conduit bank. It can run out of a conduit bank and then be routed elsewhere. So it is possible. I don't know about microduct. I would be hesitant.
Yeah, microduct seems awfully granular.
the reason I say that is we specify microduct in the sentence as the lowest level, where we can allow distinct access.
Yeah.
If we're saying we're going to provide security at that level, or individualized.
One of the things maybe to be more explicit too, which is providers may lease entire conduit, may lease at the level of entire conduits,
or less.
ducts or microducts. And now you've kind of really
But that,
I think that's important. carriers, if in fact they go with this, are not going to want to be in the same conduit for liability reasons.
Yes.
Right.
They're going to want their own.
Yeah, we've heard that clearly.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure the language reflects that.
This is Mark again. Question, Mike Keeling. Is there any concept where we indicate equal opportunity and the ability not to monopolize that? There is still, no matter what we design, it is a limited resource. So there is some first come, first serve priority, I assume, and eventually some segments, no matter how designed, may run out of capacity for additional latecomers to be added to.
Capacity to lease entire conduits, yeah.
So if we say something like has the opportunity to lease,
Okay.
and then
Is the leasing issue in the ADOT bill or in the other bill?
Well, because
I think you're talking about management.
actually, let me feedback from ADOT's perspective. Right now, ADOT would not want us to just only allow leasing, but an easement might be another alternative to that, which implies the longevity beyond that of a lease.
say access, lease.
Access is a good general word right now from the feedback from ADOT. And then when they interpret that at the rule level, because the statute they'll create rules from, is when they'll go down to the leasing, and that's when they'll put their requirements on it for access into the roadway area, the rights of way associated with public safety, et cetera.
And that goes back to ownership of who owns the right of way, who owns the conduit, or shall we say the trench. And I'm going to ask you about gift clause issues related to this. The lease word in there does protect us from gift clause issues. It presupposes a quid pro quo. It presupposes a fair procurement, if you will.
What we have for that is a cost-based rate.
A cost-based rate, okay. All right.
And that language is good
All right.
language from the gift clause perspective.
And the lease does the lease say anything other than a cost-based?
Oh yeah,
rate?
it can be it can be at no cost or at cost base or at market base. So
Okay.
it's
And so then, and I have pictures of Tim Hogan coming in and saying, okay, guys.
But that's
all
why
this
cost
verification.
base is good here, because that says at statute level that you're not giving it away,
Okay,
which a donee lease could be.
okay, and then that satisfies the gift clause also.
But I'd like to underscore Ron's point about going out to all the providers, with our final language and their suggestion. Let's see, any other comments on? Because again, we want to keep this at the statutory level of language as opposed to getting too deep into it. And so we're going to be looking for those general words as we suggested here.
I think if you talk about opportunity to access, and you just make sure that you don't have the word each broadband conduit.
And yeah, each
That's
comes out, doesn't it? And we need to get into that sentence, the concept of these are the statewide runs of conduit, that they have access to all the statewide runs of conduit, but not to each conduit in the ground. So I'll work on that. I'll wordsmith that for the version that goes out to the providers. Other comments on E before we go to F? Hearing none, going to F. No changes from our earlier version in F. Any comments from the task group in F?
Let's talk about what this means. This looks like a technical, one would have to parse all of these words to get the full meaning of it. The director may waive the application of this section or any provision therein. What is this section? F?
That's everything.
That's everything, okay? Or any provision therein if such waiver appropriate with respect to a covered rural highway construction project. And that's a term of art, a covered rural highway construction
Explained
project.
elsewhere in here.
Okay.
And again, that's the ADOT director being given a great deal of latitude.
Okay.
So we're trusting that the ADOT director really wants to do this.
Right.
And because you know,
Which they
notice
assure
he
us
doesn't.
over and over and over again that they do. So,
Okay, now, is this specific to a covered rural highway project existing, meaning, so what does the word covered stand for?
it would be either a highway project that's under construction or a project specifically to run conduit.
Just the conduit itself.
That's unrelated to a construction project.
So the word covered means here what? I'm just verifying that.
Well, it essentially means a project that's accepted by the director of ADOT.
And that is a rural highway as defined under H7.
Yeah, and it would not, it specifically excludes urban projects.
Okay, so that's the reason why I have the word rural
Right.
there.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And in fact, that is the scope, that's a fundamental limit on the scope of this bill, is it is only rural highways, it is not urban highways.
Right. And that's been a core precept from the beginning of the discussion.
Right, so we don't have the definition of rural yet, I ascertain.
Well, is that definition clear and present somewhere about what constitutes a rural highway project?
Have it in 7, I see it.
We'll get to that.